Hey guys, it's Kia from the Best of Hockey. Now before you watch the video, I just wanted to say that the number 10 spot on this video is not affected by last night's games, but the rest of the teams on this list are. At number 10, we have the New Jersey Devils. The Devils currently sit 7th in their division with 18 points and are actually tied for last place in points with the Penguins. In 19 games played, they have 8 wins, 9 losses, and 2 overtime losses. They've scored 55 goals in the process, which is the second lowest in the Metropolitan, but they have a pretty good goals against with 61 for the third best in their division. This gives them a -6 in goals. The Devils have started to pick it up a little, but now they still have to win a lot of games if they want to regain a playoff spot. They defied expectations this year because they're expected to have continued their amazing start to the season after last year's playoff run. Now, I really don't know why this team isn't better because they have pretty good stats everywhere. Number 9 is the Ottawa Senators. They currently sit 7th in their division as well with 21 points, and the reason they're even here is because they're doing much better than people have expected. They've scored tons of goals with 79, but have let in a ton with 94, which means they're second for goals scored in the league, but last for goals against. They have 9 wins, 10 losses, and 2 overtime losses, which means they're 5 points out of a playoff spot. I wasn't expecting Ottawa to be this mediocre this year, but I'm glad they are, even though they have no defense whatsoever. Number 8 is the New York Islanders. After Tavares left, the team was screwed, but still had some talent left on the team. They have a record of 10-8-2 for 22 points, only 4 points out of playoff contention. They have scored 63 and have let in 60, meaning they're a +3 in goal differential. They have recently lost 3 out of the last 5 games, but are still surpassing many expectations, as most believe them to be a bottom feeder, which they aren't. Quick note, they just lost to the Rangers last night, a team they have now beat 11 out of their last 13 meetings. Now if you're not sure why I'm saying this, click up here to watch the video. Number 7 is the Buffalo Sabres, and they are currently on a 7-game winning streak. They have 30 points with 14 wins, 6 losses, and 2 overtime losses. They have exploded lately and have crushed all expectations. Many believe this team would be around 5th in the division, but are proving everyone wrong. They scored 70 and have only let in 62 and have a solid lead over the Bruins and the Canadiens. It's incredible because everyone is doing well. The older guys like Pominville, the new additions like Skinner, and the youngsters like Dallin. At number 6 is the Minnesota Wild. They beat Ottawa last night, giving them a solid hold on the list. They have played 22 games and have 28 points with a record of 13-7-2. They've slowed down a bit lately, but still surpassed expectations because their team looked like it wasn't ready for the playoffs this year and were on the brink of a rebuild. However, the veterans have come to play, and the team is looking solid, scoring 71 goals while only letting in 61. What's insane is that their leading scorer is shared with Matt Dumba, a defenseman, and he has 10 goals already. 5th is the LA Kings. This year, they've had an extremely disappointing one for them. Before the year, this team was looking like it might have had a chance at the playoffs with the addition of Kovalchuk, but they've had a brutal quarter of the season. After 21 games, they are dead last in the league with 7 wins, 13 losses, and 1 overtime loss. They've had a really old team with almost half of the players being over 30 years old. No one looks great, with Kovalchuk leading the team with only 14 points, and most goals is only 6 on the year. Their goalies actually look pretty good, apart from Quick, who's having a terrible year, but the reason this team isn't higher on the list is because they weren't necessarily expected to make the playoffs, but rather to have a decent year, and they really haven't lived up to their expectations. At number 4 is the New York Rangers. Now this team has been on fire this month, winning 8 out of their 10 games so far. This team has really gone up the radar this year after being deemed a rebuilding team last season, but with a record of 12-8-2, this team is looking bright. They're currently 2nd in their division and are actually tied for 1st in points. Their 68 goals for is pretty good, and their 65 goals against is decent, but what's strange is that their players aren't even having that well of a season point-wise, but this team is still looking up, with Kreider leading the team in points with 20. Number 3 is the Montreal Canadiens, and this team this year has been a pleasant surprise with 26 points in 22 games. The thing is, when you make 11 trades this season so far, which some of them look bad, like the Galchenyuk for the Domi trade, this team was looking worse with every coming day. But this team has been really good so far, actually. They have 11 wins, 7 losses, and 4 overtime losses, holding on to that last playoff spot. The new additions have been really good, with Domi and Tatar on fire, and Kotkaniemi is looking to stay for good. At number 2, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, this team has massively disappointed me this season, as I predicted them to win their division, and what do they do in return? Come second last in the Metro. I mean, it's fine with me, they're my least favorite team, but anyways, in 20 games, they've gotten 20 points with 8 wins, 8 losses, and 4 overtime losses, tying them with the Flyers and the Devils in points. I knew this team wasn't the same as 2 years ago and is starting to fall slightly, but I didn't know it would be so soon. November has been terrible for them, gaining only 5 points out of a potential 20. Matt Murray is struggling, and the players are actually putting up some numbers, but the Penguins have scored 69 goals and have let in 67, which isn't terrible, but this is a massive downfall to what I was expecting out of them this season. And finally, at number 1, the team that has surprised me the most is the St. Louis Blues. Their offseason was huge, as they signed people like Ryan O'Reilly, Tyler Bozak, Perron, and Maroon, but the Blues have been a huge disappointment this season. Many thought they would be up there in the league and would most definitely make the playoffs, but after 20 games so far, they've only had 7 wins with 13 losses for 17 points, which is last in their division and second last in the conference. They have 1 win in their last 6 games and have scored 58 goals, but have only let in 63, which is impressive. Ryan O'Reilly is trying to push the team as he leads the team in points, but apart from him and Tarasenko, there's not much else helping. Jake Allen is certainly not helping with his bad stats. Anyway, in brief, I was really expecting much more out of this team than what they've showed us so far, and hopefully they can start playing well again. So thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.